What we're doing on this hydro drawer is we're using XXL, like I said in prior videos. And we're just like a regular bottom door, we're going to put every 6 inches when we're all finished. Now, these are 12-inch ribs, so we know where every 6 inches are. Now, what we're going to do on this one here is, because there's a lot of metal under here, we remove some of the bolts, and we're going to put this underneath that lip. It'll give us some flexibility of adjusting that. It'll give a nice, I believe, a nice clean look. And so this 50-foot piece, we're going to be going all the way across with that XXL. Again, now when we do this, we are going to be putting our screws every 4 feet. One, and then pull on as tight as a violin string, making sure, as I'll show you over here, folks, we don't pull so tight that we move this. So we have to be a little careful, but we're going to do our first set of screws every 4 feet, then we close the door. See how that seals, make sure it's not too tight. And then we'll go every 2 feet, close the door again, and then we'll do every foot, close the door again, and then we'll finish up with our 6-inch screws. Okay, so what we had to do is on this end here, when this door closed, it was jamming, so we had to readjust this and move it up. Because these hydro doors, even though they look big and the motors look big, they're not as strong as you think. We had a significant problem out here too. When we closed it, it would only get about a foot away. So we lift the door back up and then we adjusted and we moved. As you can see, it was wearing on it. So we moved this up further. We have some restrictions because of this metal, may have to do some trimming, but as you can see how tight that was. So, and that's when you install these, that is a step-by-step process. You know, roughly we have a bolt, we're reusing the holes that they had before, about every 4 feet so we can adjust it. Now it'll get tighter when we put them on, but this is a step-and-step process. Now we're going to open this up about 4 feet. So what I actually peeled this back, like peeling back a stocking, and I lined up the rubber, that thermal tube, to the end. And then what I'm going to do is I'll keep some flap left over, not this much, but that's how I did that. If we come over on here, this is how we trim it. We trim it in 2 phases. We trim the foam inside first by rolling this back. And I like to line that foam up to the edge, just like I did here. And then of course I put the bolt here. So you literally take this and peel this back and then cut the material. And that's how I like to seal that. So we peel this, I peeled this back and then I cut that foam. It took a while to peel it back. Now I'm going to trim this when it's closed so it covers the gaps there too. That's how I trim those ends. Okay, here's what we did. On this door we did decide to end up putting on the exterior of the sheet metal. And so what we did was put, these are 12 inches, excuse me, so we put a screw every 4 feet, because these ribs are 12 inches apart. And then what we did was we closed the door. This is like our third time, because this was way too close down here, and it was also way too close down the corner. So we raised this up, and so forth. This still needs to go down a little bit here on this corner. So how you do a hydro door is you first put your first set of screws every 4 feet, pull it as tight as you can, and then you lower it. See where you're jamming, and then you adjust accordingly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put every 2 feet screws, but we're going to do it with the door closed so we can form it to the floor. Now how we did the sides, open up the door please. You know what we did was we trimmed the foam to be even with the door, and we'll have to do some trimming, but we have no problem with this excess material filling the corner, but it does need to be a little bit more trim, and we need to put a few more, of course, more screws. But this gives you an idea. You do it in a step-by-step process, and what you do is you're forming the bottom to the floor, because your floor, just like this floor, is not straight. The door is straighter than the floor, so we got to form it to the floor on these hydro doors. And on this side we put a hex head. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now we're closing the door. Let's close it, and then we're going to get on our hands and knees and form it to the floor. So for example, I will be going around pushing it so it forms to the floor, not too tight. This is pretty good. Then we're going to be doing every 2 feet. There's an area in the center that's a little too high, so this is why we do it on our knees, because it allows us to follow the floor. Yeah. So as you can see, this is over here is a nice seal, but as you can see, look at this. This is starting to go up a little bit. So there's a screw right here. I'm going to just lower this so see it sits on the floor a little better. And then I'm going to re-put that in. Yeah, that's feather. And then I'm going to go down here. Let's see how this whole thing goes up like this here. So what we're going to do is we're going to redo this screw too. So because we're concaving it, or we'll just say forming it to the floor. See how I push down? Not real tight, because your hydro doors are not very strong with water. Okay, see how that looks? Yep, that looks better. So I'm going to do this one here. I'm going to go right here. Now, when I'm said and done, we're going to be putting 2 screws, one here, one here. That's how we're going to do that, because we're not going to put a screw like here. You can't get it tight enough. So when we have a situation like this that has a rib, we put 2 screws on the ribs when we're all said and done. So we're just going to keep going along doing this, folks. Okay, we have just gone and finished every 2-inch screws. We're going to open it up, see if we are bulging the door. It didn't look like it because we did it on knees. On our knees, we formed it. We did have to take some of the screws out. It was too high. And then we put in our 2. So what I'm looking for right now is making sure this door closes nice and tight. It is. Oh, the outside weather is being kept outside. We're going to check the other side. Look at that. We are sealed up, folks. Now what we're going to do is we're going to finish up with, now because of the ribs, we are not able to install a screw every 6 inches. Now this is a good form, so what we're going to do is we're going to finish up and put in our 1-foot screw where there's none at. Then we're going to open up the door again and close it to make sure we have no problems, okay? And on this, because we have such a nice job, we're going to be able to do this opened up. If we had some concerns of waving floors, then you would keep it down. So I always recommend to do it whichever works best for you, but you want to make sure that we're forming the form. Actually thinking about it, because there's not that many, I think we're going to do this on our hands and knees. That way we make sure we're formed, and that way we get it tight for the client here. So we're going to do it on our knees and keep the door closed. Fill in all the foot just one time, and then we'll open it up, and if it's good, then we'll put the second screws with the door open shoulder height. Okay, we just got done. Now we're going to close this. We had to screw every rib. Doors closing nice and tight. Okay, we'll do some trimming on the side pieces there, and we are good. We're going to raise this up now, shoulder height, and put 2 screws on each rib. Right now we have 1, and now we're going to be putting 2 just to give that extra, because we want to screw every 6 inches on the bottom, but it doesn't work on this door, and that's how we make it work. 2 screws every 12 inches. Yep, let's go up. Remember folks, before at the beginning of this video I was showing you those gaps. You don't see any gaps anymore here. Zero, none, zilch.